Welcome back to another exciting episode of the Myth-Busting Locksmith. Now today we are looking at technical versus tactical, and we are busting the myth on the fact that you do not need to ache your brain on the technical, it is more about the tactical. And this video is dedicated to Laurie, who is about to embark on his journey into the locksmithing world. Now, as you can see before you, you have a very small sample of the large collection I have of picks of various types, of tension tools, Z-shaped tension tools and top of keyway tension tools. Now, I have been studying and practicing for about 3 years, and one of the pieces of advice I was given at the beginning was don't rush out and buy too many picks and don't buy too many tools. Slowly work through what you need when you need it. So a lot of the jobs that I did, and my advice to others, would be go out, do a job, and if you'll find you're missing parts or picks or tools that you need, work out what you need and then go and buy them later. Now, there's some expensive things here and there's some really cheap and nasty things here, and there's some locks just to use for examples. So, what I'm finding an awful lot on YouTube videos and other teaching videos is people are really wound up and caught up in the technical. It doesn't need to be technical. It's a myth and I need to bust it, because you get people that come along and will say, now you've got the two-point rake, you've got a filled-in point rake here, you've got a flat rake, you've got various other ones here, you've got a single pin picking tool, you've got a snowman or two ball, you've got a single ball rake, you've got a worm or a snake rake, and people will argue, is it a worm, is it a snake? Does it really matter? It's a rake, you don't need to know the name. We have a small one, 3 points, other single ones for picking here, which we will refer back to. You've got diamond tip ones here, you've got the rook, the king, the queen, the king, the rook and the castle here, diamond points here. You've got a 1, 2 and 3 point fancy little set for raking, worm or snake rake, they go on. There are longer versions of these which I believe are the snake rakes. I think that these two, this one and this one here, is a worm rake. But again, people will be picking up on the technical and saying, no, you're incorrect, it's not this, it's one of those. And that's exactly my point. You don't have to be focused on what these things are called. These are more for cabinets, wafer locks and so on, and they are invaluable in the field, key boxes, cash boxes and so on. I don't know if they have a technical name, but they are very, very useful. These are two types of cone pick, and yes, it is very important to know that these are quite thin blades and are very good for picking some types of locks, and these have got thicker blades. They will not fit in some kind of locks. They're cone picks, nothing too technical, but you need to know that with things like the hockey puck locks that Master make, the Master Pro need the dark blue because they are a lot thinner. The old style, the original Master hockey puck locks that go on vans and whatnot, will take the thicker ones, but these will not fit in the new type. That's all you need to know. These are pretty much the same. These will fit in some, they will not fit in others. You don't need to know how many teeth on it, you don't need to know how many millimeters are between the comb teeth. So when you're watching YouTube videos and they say, oh, I'm going to pick up a 0.5 mil or a 0.7 mil or a 3.1 mil, you really don't need to worry about the millimeters and the measurements. It's a myth you have to get so technical. It's fat, it doesn't fit, get a thinner one. It's thin, but it's a little bit too thin, get a thicker one. These are too short, these are too long, these are too fat. These are the fundamentals that you need to know when you pick up a lock. Here you've got tension tools. Now, this is homemade, this looks homemade, these are quite nice, this is homemade, these are quite nice, this was expensive. They all vary, but they all do pretty much exactly the same thing. You've got expensive, homemade, fairly nice, quite expensive, homemade, cheap and cheerful, very expensive, not too bad. Came in a kit where it looked like a credit card, you slide it open, and there's some flat ones. This one, if I compare it to one of these, as you can see, all that's got the parts on the side here and here and here. If you compare the two, one's very thin, one's quite thick, but this is designed to be flat. But at the end of the day, this is the part you need. It goes in and it applies tension. These are very good. I open cash boxes with these. It might be cheap and cheerful. Some might send it to you as a free gift with a set of flat picks, and the technicals amongst you go, oh yeah, cheap, nasty, threw it right in the bin. I've used these tension tools and the picks that come with it. They're very useful. I can get in a cash box in 2 seconds. If that's all you need it to do, and that's what you can do with it, you don't need the technical, you need the tactical. That's how it works. Some of these are quite thick and some of these are quite thin. So as you can see here, there are two very different thicknesses. Now, a lot of the videos I watch, oh, we're going to get 1/10 of a mil, well, 3 1/1000s, 2 1/1000s, or a 0.5 thousandths, we're going to get a 2 mil. Doesn't mean anything to me. What I would do is I would pick up a thick one and go, well, clearly that's far too thick, it doesn't fit in the lock. That's what I need to know. I come along with this one, this fits nicely in the lock, and I can add tension because it is just the right size and shape. Get this in lock. Let's try another one. Try another one of these. Again, this doesn't fit, too thick. Might pull up a thinner one, get a thin one, put it in, and you find on this lock, the thin one is too thick. So you might pull up a different lock, dimple lock in this case, and you find that this is too thin because it wiggles all the way around. So you need to refer to a fatter one. Now, there we are, see, this would be perfect. You can see almost the cam moving here slightly. So for a dimple lock in particular, this is perfect. So these ones are good for dimples, these are good for standard, these are good for warded locks, which I have shown on other videos because somebody argued the point and I showed them the opening a warded padlock with these and these. These are good for the original Master hockey puck locks, these are good for the Master Pro. So, not getting technical, but getting tactical. Let's pull up another one here. Say get this little tension tool here. Now this is too long in this part here, or that's very short and stubby. So I would get to the part that is thinner and I'll put it in. I go, yes, that fits perfectly. Might be a little bit wiggly, but it's a pretty good job. But I might also go to a top of keyway one that has a little indent, but is deliberately designed to go into the top of, always into the top of the keyway, not the bottom, so that if the pins are in the way, see that's too thick. If the pins are in the way, you can always put it this way and pick it like this. Yeah, try the top of the keyway for the top of the keyway thing is best. So in here you see, it's a little bit wiggly. I don't get on with these. I never really have, but I bought the top of the keyways because somebody recommended them for different jobs. Now, as I say, these are designed, I know it's the bottom first, but these are designed to go on the top here so that you can get everything out of the way and you're not getting in the way of the pins. So they have little, let's do this like this for you. So you have the little indents, also cutouts there. Again, I don't know the thickness, I don't know how many millimetres or tenths of millimetres or thousandths they are, but I'm looking at the tactical. Does it fit in the lock? Is it a nice fit? Does it work well? Coming down more to picks, I look at people going, I'm going to use a single pin, such and such an angle, and I'm going to go in, it's a 10,000th of a millimetre thick, because it's a very thin one, and I'm going to go in here, and nothing on 1, nothing on 2, something on 3. That's never made any sense to me. What I'm looking at more, and what I suggest is look at the angle of the point. What is the angle of the point telling you? Does that feel good in the lock? Does it feel like it's too sharp and pointing down? If so, get one that's thinner. So this is thinner, and the point is less severe. Or you can go, no, that's not reaching. I've got long pins and I need to push it right down. So in which case, the bottom one we're looking at here, get one that goes forward and has a very sharp downwards curve. This has a short, shallow one. This is long and it's barely touching this way. This one is going straight down, so good for deep pins or ones that have to be pushed right down. As I say, I don't know the measurements, but I know that this one will reach in and push the pins down deep very easily. This one here will go neatly back and push them down a little bit, and this one is kind of a middle between the two. And of course it's all about technique, but sometimes if you're getting this and you're pushing it and you're finding this part here is pushing pins and you need this part to be much deeper to push down further, then get one of these. Now this is the tactical. If that's not working for you, get a diamond tip one like this. That's a little diamond tip, and that will go right in and push right down. But won't be suitable for all types of pins and all types of locks. When you're talking rakes, you have the worm or the snake. And I go more tactical, as I'm going to say throughout this video, not the technical, because I don't know if it's a worm or a snake rake, and I don't think it matters. And if you have locksmiths of 20, 30 years telling you that's not a worm, that's a snake, or that's not a snake, that's a worm, seriously, it doesn't matter. You go outside, it's pissing it down with rain, it's freezing cold, you've got kids and a mother waiting going, I need to get in my house, I need to get in my house, I need to get in my house. You don't need to know it's a worm. What you need to do is look at the blades, look at the points. How many points have you got? How rigid are they? How soft are they? See, this is more pointed than this. This is more pointed than this one. So you can see some have got soft, some have got sharp. And you want to focus on what you feel. So when you pick up, say, a random lock, I'm not using a tension tool because I'm not picking it for you, but when I go like this, I can feel it pushing over quite nicely. If I get one of these where the points are sharper and they are more spaced out, I don't know how many millimeters, I'm not doing technical, I'm doing tactical. Now I can feel this is a much better feel because they're not slipping off the pins as easily, because they're sharper, and I can feel that's digging deeper, and this will be the one I would use potentially for this lock. When you look at these ones, the black bladed ones, which we will refer back to shortly, there's 2 points. Now 2 points might be easier if you want to try and get a couple of pins together or get one after another. I can feel that this doesn't really fit well in this lock, so I wouldn't use this one. I've never used the double ball or the snowman, and I've never used a single ball. I've tried it with many different locks. It doesn't work for me. I've had no success, where all of these I've had success with. So it really is about the tactical. What does the lock feel like? What does the tension tool feel like in the lock? How does the tension tool, how's the position feel in the lock? Is it staying secure? Is it wiggling around in the, is it wiggling around at the top? Get a deep one, look, lots of wiggle here. Is this what I want? Or do I want one that's, see, this end is shorter, so it won't go as deep. Is that going to pop out? That feels quite solid to me. But you have to ask yourself, is this going to pop out? Or is that nice and solid? You get this side, which is longer, and you pop it in and go, right, this feels too loose to me. There's more movement in that part than this part because this fits neater. This is the one I would use. So I'm kind of getting fed up with watching videos where people are picking locks and going, oh, this is 3/1000 of a millimetre, or this is 1/1000 of a millimetre, this is 10 1/1000, this is 1/10,000, or whatever. They're blinding you with technical stuff. It's really unnecessary. Unless you're actually making locks, you need to focus on what it feels like, what it sounds like. What can you see, feel with your fingers, and in time, what can you hear or see with your fingers when you're applying it in a lock? As I say, these we covered with cabinets, they're very, very good. These are rather fancy Bogota picks. Somebody recommended Bogota, I went out, I searched them, I found these, they're very nice. These are worm or snake rakes, they're similar to Bogota. I really like them, but as you can see, this one's got quite a fat blade compared to this one, a much, much thinner blade. So again, I'm not comparing measurements, I'm not comparing angles or millimeters or the weight of it, I'm comparing the depth of the point, the thickness of the metal, sort of this way, the thickness of the metal the edge way. Is this a pointed top like this one, or is it more rounded underneath? How's that going to feel in my lock? You've got to focus on the tactical, because the tactical will get you in, the technical will win you exams. But exams will not get you in the door if it's just all measurements and numbers and weights. You have to focus on which one of these is going to get you into which one of these. Now, I've put these aside and these aside, not this one, because these are all from an £18.99 Amazon kit. And everybody talks about cheap picks and nasty picks. I bought these from Amazon. They had more in the series, in the same pack. They were £18.99. I absolutely loved them when I started. I opened practically every padlock I had with them. I had a lot of success. I broke a couple of them, so I replaced a couple of them. I have a kit that I take to work, because I'm an on-site locksmith as well as security, and I have a kit in my box, and I love them. I've got 2 kits. They work very well. If you're too heavy-handed with them, they will break, but then any pick will break if you're too heavy-handed. They're not cheap, they're not nasty, they're a great start. And then when you start learning more about locks and appreciate when these little bit fancy type of rakes or the Bogota picks will work for you, then that's when you start looking at those and asking for recommendations of other people. This was a bit of a fancy set they brought out, Queen, King, Rook and Castle, but I've never used them. I don't know where I would ever use them, because I really can't see how, if I show you the blades might make more sense, how a series of blades like this on in keyholes, I can't see how that would be practical. They're quite fun looking, but I really don't see how that's going to work in a lock. I think that's probably about it to cover with today, but just to say, this is a small selection of a much bigger collection I've got. Go out and buy one of these kits, see how you get on. see how you progress, and then start asking advice. But at the end of the day, get a little kit with a little bit of everything. Get some worm or snake rakes, inexpensive. Get some cabinet ones. Get some thin and get some thick comb picks. Maybe get some little longer ones if you so wish. If you want to invest in bog guitar picks, I can't speak about them highly enough. They are excellent. Get some tension tools. Get some top of keyway tension tools, and get some I'm going to call them Z-shaped ones, which I'm sure I'll be penalised by people online. But these are good for dimple locks. But don't go mad on picks. You don't need to spend hundreds of pounds, and don't spend hours and hours watching YouTube videos and learning about all the millimetre measurements of how many thousandths of an inch it is or how many thousandths of a millimetre, because you can get entirely caught up on that, and it will make absolutely no sense to you whatsoever when you come along and you go, yes, this looks about right for this lock, because when you realise, no, it's not actually. Let's try this one. So exactly my point. You've got to work out what feels right in the lock. See, this is far too fat. So tactical. Everything's about tactical. Everything's about practice. Everything's about feel. Everything is about working it out for yourself. Not worrying about measurements. Not worrying about weights. Not worrying about picking 1, 2, or 3. It's about finding the right pick that fits in the right lock with the right tension tool that feels right to you, because one of these might feel great to you, something like this might be good for somebody else. I don't like these, I don't get on with them, I love these. I only ever use these for the dimple locks, but I know that some of these will fit in these locks, but I haven't really tried them. This beast was a bump key. 8 bumps and I was in, and there is a separate video about that one. Warded locks, despite people disagreeing with me, and I've done videos for it, will get you these and these. So there are picks that will suit different locks, and there are locks that like different picks, and I found that as many locks there are out there, they all have a pick they prefer. They all have a tension tool they prefer. It's finding out which one works by practicing, by feeling it, by looking at it, by listening to it, by fiddle. And that's it. It's not about the technical. You don't have to worry about weights and measurements and lengths. I think there's too much out there now that is teaching you the academic schoolboy bit, where at the end of the day, if you're trying to pick a lock in a door in the blinding heat, the pouring rain, or where it's pitch black, you need to know what it feels like, sounds like, and what is going to suit what. I hope that's useful, and I hope that's busted a small myth. And Laurie, I look forward to assisting you in your learning and your teachings, and hopefully this will help you. Maybe another day we will get the whole pick collection I've got and the whole tension tool collection I've got, and maybe we will dissect it one by one. But no promises, because there are hundreds of picks, and they are at work and at home and in my store, so it'll be rather a mission to put them all together. But thank you for watching. I hope this has been useful. I hope it's not been too long, and I hope you're understanding what I'm trying to put across to enable you to get more out of your lock picking, whether you're a hobby or a competition picker, or if you're actually a locksmith coming into the trade and learning, or maybe if you're just getting a bit inundated and overwhelmed with the amount of technical data people are trying to put on you, when at the end of the day, if you can pick one of these up and go, no, that doesn't fit in that lock properly, I'll try that one, no, that's getting stuck, oh, I'll try this one, yes, this feels much better, that's the one I'll use. It doesn't matter what it's called, it doesn't matter what the measurements are, what matters is it fits, it picks. There we are, have a lovely weekend, thanks for watching.